You're standing in the break room at 2:14 in the morning, microwave humming, your third shift this week bleeding into a fourth, and the vending machine just ate your last dollar. You kick it once, quietly, so the night manager doesn't hear. You slide down against the wall and pull your wallet out to check if you have anything left, and that's when you see it. The ticket, folded in half, bought 9 days ago on your lunch break because the number on the billboard made you laugh out loud in the parking lot. $700 million. You remember thinking, someone's getting rich this week, and it's definitely not you.
You almost throw it in the trash can beside you. Instead, some reflex you can't name makes you open the Numbers app on your cracked phone screen instead. The first number lines up, your thumb freezes. The second number lines up, your throat goes tight. By the sixth number, you're not blinking, you're not breathing, you're sitting on a break room floor holding a piece of paper worth more than your entire zip code combined, and not a single person on earth knows it yet. Not your father, not your coworker asleep in his car outside, not the security guard doing his 2 a.m. walk past the window 3 feet away. You have about 90 seconds to make the most important decision of your life, and you make it in silence. You fold the ticket back into your wallet. You clock back in. You finish your shift like a completely different person is wearing your body, and you don't tell a soul. That decision becomes the first law of the rest of your life before you've even had time to name it as one. Something in you already knows. The second this becomes known, you stop being a person and start being a target, a rumor, a walking withdrawal slip.
So you decide to vanish before anyone notices you're gone. You drive across state lines the next afternoon to file the claim, having already spent the night before with 11 tabs open, learning phrases like blind trust and anonymity statute and single-member LLC. You form an entity that means nothing to anyone who hears it, the Hollow Pine Trust. You're not its face, you're the shadow standing behind it. The claims office smells like copier toner and nerves. A man in a navy cardigan checks your ticket twice, and the second time his eyebrows twitch, just barely. And that twitch is the first proof your life has crossed into a different category of existence. Lump sum, $393 million after the cut. Your signature shakes across 4 pages, and when you walk back out into the parking lot, you're on paper still the same overworked 26-year-old who drove in that morning. That's the entire plan. Stay identical on paper, become someone else completely underneath.
That night, you sit on your kitchen floor with your back against the fridge and laugh until it turns into something closer to fear. Because now you're carrying a piece of knowledge that has weight, that sits behind your ribs like a second pulse. The first week, you change nothing. You still work your shifts, you still eat the same $2 instant noodles, you still let your cousin borrow $40 for gas, knowing you could buy him the car and never feel it, and you hand him 2 20s like it's the last cash you own. That's when the first rule of hidden wealth reveals itself to you. The performance never stops, not for an hour, and you're both the actor and the only audience who knows it's a performance. You move the money the way a bomb technician moves wire, slow, gloved, deliberate. You hire an attorney recommended through 2 people who don't know your name yet, someone based in a city you've never set foot in. You give him half-truths. He doesn't need your name, he needs your signature on paperwork designed to keep your name out of everything. 4 weeks in, you quit your job, citing a relative's illness 2 states over. Nobody questions it. Nobody ever questions an ordinary excuse. You relocate to a mid-sized city where your face means nothing, lease a modest 1-bedroom under a management company's name, and drive a 6-year-old sedan bought in cash through the trust, never through you. By every visible measure, you're unremarkable. Underneath, the machine runs quietly. Index funds, municipal bonds, a scattered real estate portfolio held through 3 separate shells. You're worth more than the mayor of your new city and every business on its main strip combined. And you eat gas station burritos for lunch because gas station burritos draw exactly 0 attention. This is when the psychological weight sets in for real. You start noticing things you never noticed, how people's eyes catch on a stranger's watch, how a parked car gets a second glance it didn't earn. You understand, viscerally now, why people hide money. The instant it becomes visible, it becomes a claim other people feel entitled to make on you. You think constantly about your father's mortgage. You draft paperwork to pay it off anonymously through a manufactured regional relief program instead of just calling him. 2 months later, he gets a letter saying his balance was cleared by an anonymous fund, and he calls you in tears. And you act surprised, and you hate how fluent you've become in lying to the person who raised you. That's the actual cost, not the money, the distance. 5 months in, you slip. You're at a cookout with people who don't know your history, and someone jokes about what they'd do with 100 million, and 2 beers in, you say, "I'd never breathe a word, not to a single person." The way you say it makes a woman named Raina go quiet for 1 beat too long. "That's oddly specific," she says. You laugh it off, change the subject, and drive home with your pulse in your ears, replaying the sentence 60 times, wondering if you just handed someone a loose thread. You learn that night that a secret doesn't need to be spoken to become dangerous. A tone, a beat of silence, a sentence delivered with too much conviction is enough. You start rationing yourself around people you don't fully trust, building, almost without meaning to, a duller, more forgettable version of yourself, one that never says anything memorable enough to be repeated. 8 months in, the money starts doing what money is supposed to do. The trust throws off close to $52,000 a day in passive returns. You sit with that number some nights at 3 a.m., and it still doesn't feel real, because you're still checking unit prices at the grocery store out of 12 years of habit. You start to understand a new species of loneliness, not the absence of people, but the absence of anyone who actually knows you, since every relationship you're forming now exists downstream of a lie. Then Raina calls, months later, about something unrelated entirely, a mutual friend's engagement party. Seeing her name on your screen drops your stomach the way a police car in your rear view does, even when you've done nothing wrong. At the party, she corners you by the drinks table and says, casual, smiling, "I looked something up. There's an unclaimed trust filing from a few states over, right around when you moved here." Your whole body goes cold. "People do that constantly," you say, steadier than you feel. "Sure," she says, "just thought it was funny," and lets it go. But you don't. You spend 3 weeks re-auditing every filing your attorney made, hunting for any thread back to your name, and find with sick relief that the paperwork is clean. Raina was guessing, a sharp guess, but only a guess. This is the moment you finally understand what you didn't at that vending machine 10 months ago. Secrecy isn't a decision you make once, it's a discipline you practice daily for the rest of your life, because one loose sentence can cost you everything you built to protect.
After that, you move carefully. You buy a small duplex through the trust and rent both units at market rate. Income that reads as completely unremarkable on your personal return, since the trust files separately and pays you a modest consulting salary designed to keep your visible life exactly as boring as it needs to be. You take a real job again. Low-stakes logistics coordinator, because an unemployed 26-year-old with no visible income raises more questions than an employed one. You get good at it. You almost enjoy the ordinary rhythm of clocking in, packing a lunch, complaining about traffic, all while your net worth compounds behind a wall nobody can see. A year passes. You've cleared your father's remaining debt through a second anonymous channel, quietly funded your younger sister's tuition, and set up trust accounts for your future nieces and nephews that won't trigger until they turn 18, structured so no one can trace the source for at least a decade. From the outside, you look like someone who's doing fine. Not rich, fine. Inside, you carry the full weight of knowing you could change 10 lives tomorrow with a signature, and you don't, because the same discipline protecting the fortune is the discipline isolating you from ever being fully known again. 16 months in, you meet someone. Real feelings, the kind you haven't allowed yourself since the break room floor. 3 months into it, the question starts eating at you every night. Do you tell her, or do you let this go the way everything else is gone? Protected, distant, hidden. The version of you from before that ticket would have told her on the second date, laughing, reckless. This version sits across from her at dinner, listening to her talk about her day, quietly calculating whether she's someone the secret could survive. You still don't have an answer, because there isn't a clean one. There's only the same question from the break room floor, except now it has a face attached to it, and a laugh you're starting to love, and something that might actually be more than fear. So here's what you have to answer, because you can't ask anyone else without changing everything. If $393 million sat behind every word you've ever said to her, and she looked at you tonight completely unaware, would you finally tell her the truth, or would you let the silence protect you for one more year?